What up, what up? Dana White just announced some fights. Dana White. We're talking RDR versus Hernandez. We got some big middleweight fights coming up. It looks like we're getting straight to a number one contender right away. I mean, Hamzat just won the belt and we're already looking for that contender. And it looks like, he didn't call it a tournament, really. I mean, he kind of insinuated it. We're going to have Imavov versus Kyle Barhalo, or Kyle Bahayo, versus RDR and Hernandez. They're basically all in a tournament to fight Hamzat. And I kind of got my idea who's going to win. But we got some good matchups. Wait for a few more people to get in the chat. UFC Vancouver. And it's rare, that you see an interesting Canadian card, those Canada cards can get. I mean, what was the last Canada card? Probably UFC 312. We don't care for those, so I'm not mad at this main event for Canada. RDR versus Hernandez. This one caught me by surprise, though. I'm not going to lie. This Dana White announcement. I thought RDR, he's active. He's more of an active fighter than I realized. This guy's trying to outdo Kevin Holland or something. How many fights this year does RDR have? He has 3. RDR has 3 fights, looking for his 4th. What up, what up? What's going on? Dana White's already announcing some Hamzat Chimaev. Some title fight options for him. Whoever comes out victorious, we got RDR versus Hernandez coming up. UFC Vancouver. So winner of this fight could fight Hamzat for the belt. Or it's between whoever looks more impressive. Or coming up in September, Kyle Bahayo versus Nasruddin Imavov. So we got a little middleweight tournament going on here. No doubt about it. So Dana just announced UFC Vancouver. Pretty good main event. Rainer de Ritter versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And guess who we got? The most active fighter in the UFC? Kevin Holland's on the card. Of course he's on the card. He's on all the cards. Now, how many times has Kevin Holland fought this year? Wow. He's fought 4 times this year. This is going to be his 5th. This is the card of the active fighters. And RDR's right there. Rainer de Ritter, he fought 3 times. This will be his 4th. And not only are those 2 fights on this card, UFC Vancouver, October's looking stacked. We got crazy names, crazy big fights in October. Where's Patty? Well, Patty, we have no word yet on the lightweight title fight. I think Patty should fight Arman. That's what I'm personally waiting on. I'm waiting for the UFC to announce Patty Pimblett versus Arman Tsarukyan. So that should be the fight. That's the fight. Patty the Baddie versus Arman Tsarukyan. Or they might give him Justin Gaethje. I would rather see Arman versus Patty. I think those guys are the biggest threats to Topuria, especially Arman. I think that's the fight. And then you could do Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje after that. So yeah, Patty the Baddie, he's fighting Gaethje or Arman. There's just a lot of bullshit going on at the top of the division. I don't know. No one wants to fight or something right now. No one wants to fight. But middleweight's moving. Everyone's fighting in middleweight. I mean, back to back. September, we got a number 1 contender fight. And then October, we got a number 1 contender fight. All in middleweight. So this division's moving. But the question is, who's going to get the title shot? Imavov versus Bahayo? Or de Ritter versus Hernandez? I guess it's just whoever looks more impressive. But yeah, you know, UFC actually is doing Canada solid. This isn't a bad card from what I'm seeing so far. I mean, it looks like we got the main card. They still got to add the prelims. But this is a good card. But this is not till October, all right? He just announced it today. This card ain't till October. But man, RDR versus Anthony Hernandez. Who could win that? They're both their strengths are their grappling. They're both grapplers. I think Hernandez can push the pace better, for sure. RDR, I would say Hernandez has the better striking, too. Yeah, there's a women's fight on the Vancouver card. We got Manon Fiorot. She just fought Shevchenko for the belt. And she's fighting a Canadian chick, Juzovic. So we got that on the card. It's not a bad card. Marlon Cheeto Vera. We got Cheeto. He's fighting Eamon Zahabi from Canada. I like it. I like it. But yeah, whoever's the better grappler might win this fight. Because it's definitely going to the ground. RDR versus Hernandez. It's definitely going to the floor. RDR winds up in worse spots, worse positions. Hernandez, he's more like the middleweight Marab. Just goes for the takedown, lets you up. Yeah, Cheeto's back on the card. I'm glad Cheeto's fighting, because he hasn't fought since last year. He hasn't fought since August 2024. Shit. We got to get him back in action. I'm glad we got that going. But this weekend, we got a good card. It's actually this weekend. You won't believe what time this card starts. Saturday at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Let's see. I believe it's on probably ESPN Plus. Yep. So, prelims start at 4 a.m. We got... Wow. But we got a banger card. Starting with the main event this weekend. Walker versus Zhang Mingyang. Johnny Walker versus Zhang Mingyang. We all know Mingyang just beat the shit out of Anthony Smith. He's on a tear. I think he has 3 knockouts. 3 UFC fights. All win by knockout. And his first legit win was against Smith. Yeah, the card is at 4 a.m. Eastern time for talking the prelims. Isn't that crazy? It's in China. So yeah, UFC China. But the co-main event, I think, is better than the main event. The co-main event, we got Brian T. City Ortega this weekend fighting Aljamain Sterling. Now, that could be the main event to me. I think that's the people's main event. Because this is a really interesting matchup. Brian Ortega, he taps people out on the ground. He choked out Yair. He choked out Yair Rodriguez. So, and that was recently. Aljamain Sterling, he's a good grappler. He just grappled Masvidal Evloev. Yep, Ortega's the co-main event this weekend. Brian T. City. And he's fighting Aljo. He's fighting Aljamain Sterling. And the crazy thing about this fight is Aljamain Sterling's going to try to take him down. But Ortega's the black belt. And I know everyone's a black belt these days, but Ortega's a real black belt. He's a legit black belt. He's actually a threat on the ground, you know? He actually has submissions. But Aljamain Sterling's the better wrestler. His double legs, he wrestles with Marab. He trains with Marab. I'm taking the burrito. Yeah, you know what? If I had to pick, I'm going Ortega. Ortega, just style-wise, Ortega's got the style that would be good against a grappler like Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling, his striking, he can't rely on it. It's funky. It works, but he's not most dangerous on the feet. He's more dangerous on the ground. Ortega's, he's been to the deep waters. He's fought the tougher competition. He fought Diego Lopez recently at this division. He fought Lopez and Yair. At featherweight, Aljamain Sterling, he fought Masvidal, and before that, it was Cater. And they were both decisions. Neither's been active. This is a good fight. I could see why people would pick Aljo because the wrestling, and then he's going to just try to take your back from there. That's his game plan. Wrestle you down, try to take your back. Not the most dangerous strikes, though, from Aljo. He makes it work, but it's this funky grappling style. And he just uses it to shoot those takedowns. He just kind of uses it as like a distraction. Brian Ortega, he could pop that jab out there. I think Ortega's got him in the striking. He's got elbows, a longer reach. Ortega can rely on his boxing. He just can. He boxed up a lot of people, and he can hang in there in the striking. He was scrapping it out with Yair, scrapping it out with Diego Lopez even. So this is a tough fight to pick. Shit. This should be main event, Ortega versus Sterling. But I'm not complaining because Walker versus Min Yang, I'm not mad at it. I kind of feel like they're feeding Walker to Min Yang. He's got the momentum on his side. Like, what's Johnny Walker been doing lately? Johnny Walker hasn't won since Anthony Smith 2 years ago. So both their last wins was Anthony Smith in the main event. I know I'm hopping fights here. But yeah, we got a good card this weekend. So, Walker, Min Yang main event. Ortega versus Sterling, co-main event. No one knows how that's going to go. And we got a good heavyweight fight. The featured fight, we got Sergey Pavlovich, the Russian, right? Versus Waldo Salsa Boy Acosta. His nickname Salsa Boy. That's a good heavyweight fight. Pavlovich is the favorite. He's got more power. He's fought the toughest in the division. But Salsa Boy, he's got power too. He knocked out Stan or Ryan Spann. He just beat a legit fighter at heavyweight. He beat Sergey Spivak. So, he beat Spivak. That's a good heavyweight fight. That's going to get something moving in heavyweight. We really got nothing to look forward to in heavyweight besides Alexander Volkov, Aspinall the champ, and that's it. We got Russian power. Yep, Sergey Pavlovich. And then Salsa Boy, he's from Dominican Republic. Pavlovich is more powerful. He lost 2 fights and then he won his last fight. But before that, he was knocking everyone out in round 1. Pavlovich was on like a 5-fight win streak or a 6-fight win streak, all first round knockouts. And that wasn't long ago at all. So this guy's got Russian power. Tom Aspinall ended his win streak. Yeah. Tom Aspinall ended that win streak. But he got a win back this year. Early this year, he got back on that win streak. That's a tough fight to pick, too. Pavlovich versus Salsa Boy. I like that fight. But I'm really interested in that Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling fight. John Jokin Jones. John Jokin Jones, yeah. I bet these guys would beat John Jones at heavyweight right now. These guys have more impressive heavyweight records than Jones. Tough fight. Pavlovich is more powerful. Acosta has more volume. I think Pavlovich can take down Salsa Boy like he did to Rosenstrike. But Waldo Acosta, he throws a lot more punches. He's more active. So I'm probably leaning towards... Man. But he only beat people like Ryan Spann and Spivak. That's a tough fight. I'd probably be leaning towards Pavlovich, though. Pavlovich is back on the win streak. I mean, he knocked out a lot of people in round one. Derek Lewis, Tuivasa, Curtis Blades, knocked them all out in round one. And then lost to Aspinall. Lost a decision to Volkov. And then beat Rosenstrike. So yeah, I'm probably going Pavlovich in the heavyweight featured fight. But like I said, the fight for me is Ortega versus Sterling. Like, what the hell's going to happen in that fight? You know? What's going to happen in that fight? I think Sterling... Well, I know Sterling's going to look for the takedowns. But if he's not careful, Brian Ortega's going to choke out Sterling. He's going to choke him out. And Brian Ortega's more dangerous in the striking. He's got better boxing. He's got better hands than Aljamain Sterling. So this main card here is going to be starting at 7 a.m. This main card is at 7 a.m. Crazy. And then the main event, trust me, it's not as close of a fight as the co-main event. I don't know how many people are going to pick Johnny Walker to beat Zhang Minyang. Now, Johnny Walker's brother's doing good. You know, the other Walker bro, he's heel hooking everybody. But Johnny Walker, man, he hasn't gotten a win since Anthony Smith in 2023. Now, that doesn't mean he can't beat Zhang Minyang. I mean, look at Khalil Roundtree. Before he just beat up Jamal Hill, his last win was a win against Anthony Smith in 2023. Brian gets the hand raised by Herb. You know what? Yeah, even though Brian Ortega, you know, he hasn't been as active. He hasn't not been an active fighter. He hasn't fought this year. He fought twice last year. And hasn't been active, you know, recently. I think I'm picking Ortega to beat Sterling. As good as Sterling is on the ground, is he really going to control Ortega the whole 15 minutes on the ground? And is Ortega really going to be in trouble if he even gets his back taken by Sterling? Sterling first has to take his back. Johnny Walker might be drinking Jay Walker. Yeah, you know it's funny. Yeah, Johnny Walker, that's a classic drink. Johnny Walker doesn't even drink. But when he gets hit in the face and he does the chicken dance, you know, when he's on wobbly legs, he looks like he's on Johnny Walker, that's for sure. He gets knocked out in the weirdest ways possible. When Johnny Walker gets knocked out, he flops. He like springs backwards. There's like a delay. When he gets punched in the face, there's like a second delay. Then he just flings backwards. So yeah, he does look drunk a lot of the times. So that is a fitting name for Johnny Walker. Shit. Now that I think about it, that's a fitting name. He really does look drunk out there when he's fighting sometimes. So, Walker, Zhang, any other big fights I missed on this card this weekend? We got decent prelims. Michelle Pereira versus Kyle Dawkins. We got Rongju, who was in fight of the night his last time he fought against Cody Steele. And we also got Charles Johnson fighting Loner Kavanaugh. That should be a fun flyweight fight. You know, I think Charles Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he beat some really good names that you wouldn't even expect him to win. Wow. Oh, yeah, this is just an instant coffee right here. This is an instant. The little bit of cream, you know. Charles Johnson, there it is. He beat Joshua Van last year. Charles Johnson's on the prelims, and he's the guy who beat Josh Van. So, we got good prelims up here. And again, this is UFC China. They usually have pretty stacked fight nights in China. So, I'm probably going Zhang Min Yang. What up, what up? What's going on? Zhang Min Yang, he's going to elbow Johnny Walker, put him on wobbly legs, make him look like he's been drinking Johnny Walker all night, and win by TKO. He's going to win by knockout. He's knocking out Johnny Walker. Zhang Min Yang is that dude. I know everyone beat Anthony Smith, but Zhang Min Yang, he's on the momentum streak. 3 fight win streak, 3 UFC fights, all by finish. Co-main event. Wow. This is the people's main event, even though they're not the most active fighters. Man, I could see Aljo taking his back and winning a decision. I could see him trying to hold and stall. But Ortega, you got to be on your P's and Q's if you're grappling Ortega. I've never seen anyone just throw Ortega around. The only time anyone grapples with Ortega is after they drop him. After they stumble him to the floor, you know? Like Yair Rodriguez. I believe he dropped Ortega, right? He went to the ground with him and he was landing ground and pound. But Ortega was already hurt. Same thing with Diego Lopez. He dropped Brian Ortega, went to the ground with him. But after Ortega recovers, no one goes back to the ground with him. But Aljo will go to the ground. I'm taking Zhang Min Yang. Yep, Zhang Min Yang. Me too. He's going to knock out Johnny Walker or win by TKO. Definitely. I mean, I don't see why he can't win this fight. But Ortega versus Sterling. Ortega's more dangerous in the striking. And yeah, he gets dropped, but he has a chin. He's a dog. It doesn't matter how much you beat him. He's more durable than Aljo, in my opinion. The only thing Aljo has on Ortega is Aljo's been a champ. He's been a champion before. He can hold down really good fighters. What he did to Dillashaw was impressive, but there is an asterisk. Dillashaw was injured. He won a split decision against Petr Yan. Beat Sanhagen. And yes, he fought a good grappler like Mazur Evloev, but that was a grappling match. There was a lot of grappling in there, but that was more of a wrestling style grappling fight. When it's Sterling versus Ortega, it's going to look like wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. Aljo, he's fought good grapplers like Masvar. He's fought tons of good grapplers. But he's never fought anyone with submissions like Ortega. And yeah, Ortega, he doesn't have all these submissions on his record. He tapped out Yair. And before that, he hasn't had a sub since 2017. But no one really goes to the floor with him. That's why. No one wants to go to the ground with Ortega. If Ortega was fighting a bunch of wrestlers, he would have a lot more submissions on his record. Because he's a legit jiu-jitsu guy. He's legit. But my brain's telling me to pick Ortega. Just based on danger. He's more dangerous. He's more dangerous. I know Aljo's been champ. Ortega, he had 2 title shots. Very close fights. But he didn't get it. But other than that, I don't know what Aljo's got on him. As far as their featherweight competition, man, I don't know. Ortega's been in more dogfights. He can fight bloodied up. He can come back. And he does have It looks like his last few fights, he has shown more wrestling. He's been taking people down. He's been taking down Yair. He took, he's been doing wrestling, all right? So, he can wrestle a little bit now. Man, I think I'm going Brian Ortega. I really think I'm going Brian Ortega. I think Aljo has to be very careful on the ground. I don't think he can get Ortega's back. I think Ortega can cause a crazy scramble. Aljo's going to initiate the stand-up. Aljo's going to want to stand up after he gets tangled in Ortega's web on the ground. Because no one does good on the ground with Ortega unless they drop him. I'm going Ortega. I am. I got him by... Ooh. Is he going to get the choke? Man. I think I could see Ortega's submission happening. I really do. Aljo's a wrestler. Any word on the blessed one, Max? Well, Max blessed Holloway. I thought they were going to make Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. But they didn't. They didn't. Max Holloway. Who does he need to fight now? I wouldn't mind him against several opponents. Max versus Dan Hooker. Or Max versus Patty. They could even do Patty Pimblett versus Max Holloway. That wouldn't make much sense, though. That wouldn't make much sense. I wanted to see Holloway fight Charles, but that's not happening yet. I think they're going to do Holloway versus Dan Hooker. I could definitely see that happening. I mean, he's not going to fight Arman. Charles is booked. He already fought Gaethje. Yeah. I could see them doing Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker. I mean, that makes the most sense to me. That's a BMF fight right there. They could do that for the BMF. Yeah, Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker. I mean, a good old-fashioned scrap. That'd be a fun scrap. I mean, that would be good. What else do we got going on here? See, we got some people in the chat. All right. So we got to talk about the fight that just got announced, though. RDR versus Fluffy Hernandez. What do you think about Rainer de Ritter versus Fluffy Hernandez? I'm surprised they made this fight, but RDR is being active. And my initial thought is I think Anthony Hernandez got this. Because I know RDR, he's got that goofy style like Dreykus. He's probably a little more, technical on the ground. He has more submission skill. He has more jiu-jitsu technique on the ground. I know that. Definitely know that. But Anthony Hernandez has more of a Marab style. Take you down, let you back up. Take you down. Sometimes you'll go take the back. They have completely different grappling styles. That is true. They have different grappling styles. Hernandez, he goes for guillotines, rear naked chokes. And then other than that, it's just wrestling. And outworking you and dragging you back down. And then his volume. RDR, he wants to get on top and kind of smother you and then get mount. He wants to get like a front headlock or mount and go to work. I mean, he tapped out Kevin Holland with the rear naked choke. He's looking for back takes too. RDR wants to flatten you out on the ground. Fluffy Hernandez just wants to keep taking you down over and over until you're so exhausted that you're just going to give him that choke. Against Roman Dolidze didn't just get caught in a choke. He was getting battered. He gave up. He gave the choke to Hernandez. He wanted out. I mean, his body couldn't even work. Hernandez has like 3 lungs. I'm telling you, Fluffy Hernandez, he's got a 3rd lung. And he made his opponent, Roman Dolidze, so damn tired, he just let Anthony Hernandez get a free rear naked choke for free. He said, get me out of this cage. I don't want to throw in the towel. Just choke me out so I have an excuse to get the fuck out of here and go home. So it's interesting. They're both grapplers with different grappling style. I like it. Like I said, Anthony Hernandez, he's got more of a Marab grappling style. Keep taking you down. Rinse and repeat. Keep taking you down. Over and over and over. He doesn't care if you get back up. If you leave your neck out there, he'll go for the guillotine. If you try to get up and get your back, he'll go for a rear naked choke. And he doesn't even need to sink hooks in. He hit a standing rear naked choke on Roman Dolidze. Man, that was disrespectful. That was mad disrespectful. I don't see how Reinier de Ridder is going to hold Hernandez down, though. It's hard for me to imagine RDR, on top half guard like he was doing against Whitaker. It's hard for me to imagine that against Anthony Hernandez. He was really struggling to get that takedown on Whitaker, right? Understood. I mean, Whitaker, he's legit. But damn, Reinier de Ridder did everything he could. And it was hard to hold him down. It was. Anthony Hernandez is way different than Whitaker. Way different. I think he's got better cardio. Whitaker is just faster. I really think that's it. Whitaker's faster, but Hernandez has a style that could beat RDR, I think. Damn. Let me know what you guys think about this clash-up of styles. Let me know. I mean, Anthony Hernandez in 5 rounds. 5 rounds favors Hernandez. Even though de Ridder, he just went 5 rounds with Whitaker. He did good. He got better as the rounds went on. But damn, they were both so tired. I think this fight is going to be close. But round 5, no way anyone's keeping up with Hernandez cardio-wise at middleweight. Look how many 5-rounders Hernandez just went. Wow. His last 3 fights. 2 out of his last 3 fights were 5 rounds. I agree. Fluffy got a style that can definitely beat him. Damn right. Damn right. That's why I'm surprised they made this matchup. I thought they would give, de Ridder a favorable matchup. Maybe an Izzy. I thought they would have gave him Adesanya. But I'm not mad at this fight at all. And look, Fluffy Hernandez, he's fought good grapplers. He's fought them. Brendan Allen, he doesn't have the fight IQ. He doesn't have the highest IQ. But he's a grappler. Look what Hernandez did to him. The thing about RDR is, what if he only backs up, has wrestling defense, but Fluffy has offense and better cardio and will also switch and swing. RDR doesn't do well with volume and pressure. Yeah, I mean, that is true. That is true. Gerald Mearshart was even tagging RDR. It's hard for RDR to fight on the back foot. That is true. And Fluffy does not back up. He does not back up. He moves forward. And they're not the hardest shots. They're not the hardest shots. He puts like 70% into them. Maybe 60%. But he's just pop, pop, pop. Non-stop, non-stop. I mean, the dude's got an iron lung. 3 lungs. And I agree. Fluffy has the better cardio. And in 5 rounds, I know they both just went 5 rounds, but 5 rounds favors Hernandez. And has anyone ever held Hernandez down on his back? I think Brendan Allen got him down. Went for a rear naked choke. Hernandez scrambled out of there. He fought on the ground. He controlled Michel Pereira on the ground. He tapped out Kopylov too. Man. In a 5-round fight, you got to go Hernandez. At least me. At least me. 3 rounds, I could see RDR holding his own the first 3 rounds, you know? Anthony Hernandez can't just walk through him those first 3 rounds. RDR is a huge fighter. He's got experience. He's been a champ before. And I don't think Hernandez is going to knock him out. They're both not the fastest strikers, you know? They're not one-shot knockout punchers. So this fight isn't going to be done in round 1. This is definitely going to go to the later rounds if you're asking me. And Hernandez is the later round fighter. What up, everybody? What up? What up? RDR has a hard punch that could be dangerous. RDR, he's got more of that. He wings that overhand. Yeah, he was winging that overhand against Whitaker. And he doesn't even land with the fist sometimes. He's goofy. He hit Whitaker with the back of his hand. He's not the most accurate guy, but he'll hit you with anything. Like he clubs you with the end of his forearm. So I would say Hernandez is the more precise striker. And RDR kind of likes to wing those overhands, you know. But RDR, his best strike is that knee to the body. There's one thing that could work on a cardio machine. It might be the only way to gas out someone like Hernandez. And that's keep on kneeing the body. That's the only way you have a chance to zap this guy's gas tank. Because you're not going to outwork him. You're not going to make him tired by putting him in a scrap. He's not going to gas out on the ground. He's not going to gas out striking. RDR's best weapon on the feet is that knee. And I mean, he's hit Whitaker with that knee over and over. He put away Bo Nickel, sent him back in his singlet. He sent him back to Penn State with that knee. So, every one of RDR's fights, that's a striking fight. He lands those knees. And that would be a good move to slow down Fluffy Hernandez. I don't know if anyone's thought about that. But that knee could land on Fluffy. RDR's got the reach. He lunges forward with that knee. It's effective. It's effective. And who knows? Just because you have cardio doesn't mean you could eat, 10 knees to the gut. That can slow you down. That's how you slow down, a gas tank cardio machine. Go to the body. Go to the body. It's hard to knock those guys out because their conditioning's so good. The better your conditioning, the better off for your chin. The tired people get dropped. That's when you get tired. So yeah, 5 rounds. I'm going Hernandez, which is crazy because RDR, he hasn't lost yet. He hasn't lost. But shit, if you watch his fight against Gerald Meerschaert, GM3, he was piecing up RDR. And that's why a lot of people picked Bo Nickel to beat Rainer de Ridder. Stupid pick. Stupid choice. But the reason people chose Bo Nickel, that were actually looking at the fight objectively, was because they saw GM3 hitting Rainer de Ridder in the face repeatedly for 2 rounds. He doesn't have that good of speed. The only thing that has speed is that knee. That lunging knee that he's got. Leg kicks too. Yeah, Anthony Hernandez has the better leg kicks. In my opinion. I know RDR, he's the better Dutch. He's a Dutch kickboxer. But his strikes are way slower than Hernandez. And Hernandez isn't the fastest fighter out there. He's not MVP. But he's the faster fighter in this fight. And let's be honest, Anthony Hernandez, he's probably, he's not always the faster fighter. But He's got the speed advantage in this fight. So it's going to be hard for Reiner de Ritter to literally hold him down, pin him down in some type of mount, whether it's top half guard, top mount, or full mount. I just can't picture Hernandez just stuck on his back and Reiner de Ritter just controlling him. I think RDR can get taken down. The cool thing is, though, he's going to try those hip tosses. He always fails those judo tosses, but he always tries, and sometimes he gets them. Fluffy Hernandez always goes for that body lock, and it's hard to break that grip. I wonder, since RDR is such a big middleweight, I wonder how he's going to do trying to fight that grip, trying to break that body lock, because Hernandez is going to look for the body lock. And it's really hard to break that grip. If it was easy, you know, Roman Dolidze would have done it last week. So, in this fight announcement, I got Fluffy Hernandez. But the question is, though, who's going to look more impressive? The winner of that fight or the winner of Imavov versus Kyle Bahayo? Winner's going to get a title shot. It's almost like a tournament to me. These fights are about, you know, a little over a month apart. Hamzat just fought. Who could get the title shot? Well, let's be honest. I think Kyle Bahayo is going to beat Imavov. Interesting. So who would you give the title shot to? Kyle Bahayo or Fluffy Hernandez if they win their fights? It's a good question. I guess whoever looks more impressive, throw him to Hamzat. But style-wise, Kyle Bahayo's going to leave off. He's going to win with that highlight KO or look more impressive with the striking. We all know the Hernandez versus the RDR fight. It's going to be more of a grimy, non-stop pace, grappling fight, but really grimy. I think Imavov versus Kyle Bahayo, there's going to be a lot more striking in that fight. It's interesting. I think UFC will give the title shot to Kyle Bahayo if he wins over Anthony Hernandez. I just do. And Reiner de Ritter, I think they'll give RDR the title shot over Imavov if they both win. I just think they like those guys better. But if it's me, I'm thinking Anthony Hernandez is going to look the most impressive out of the middleweights. But I guess we'll see. October is stacked. Do you guys see this fight card? Like, look at all the fights we got going on in October. I got to pull this up. Well, we got a lot of fights ending off the year strong. Man, look at this. Look at these main events. But if we're talking October, we're kicking off October with Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Pereira, the rematch. All right? This is the rematch. Now, the rematch, hopefully it's better than the first fight. Alex Pereira didn't throw any punches. Just leg kicks. So, we got the main event. We got a good co-main event. Merab versus Corey Sandhagen. I think Merab is going to destroy Corey Sandhagen. But at least it shouldn't be as easy as destroying Sean O'Malley. Corey Sandhagen, he's got a few more scrambles in him. He's got a few more Imanari rolls in him. He's got a few more submission attempts that could help him stand back up to his feet over Merab. And he's better at the knee. So, I'll take it. Merab versus Corey Sandhagen is the co-main event. 2 title fights. I mean, this is UFC 320. This is the next pay-per-view. This is the first fight card in October. And then the featured fight, we got Yuri versus Roundtree. Yuri Prohaska versus Khalil Roundtree. That's a guaranteed fight of the night because Yuri's in that fight, so guaranteed fight of the night. Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. That's a fair matchup. Merab, let's see. Sandboy might get close. Yeah, the Sandman, he might get close. He's going to do better than O'Malley did. But, man, I don't know if he's anything Merab hasn't seen before. Umar dealt with Sandhagen. If Umar can deal with Sandhagen, and we all know Merab's better than Umar, so should be interesting though. Styles make matchups. Styles make matchups. Merab's a different type of striker than Umar, so the fight's going to look different. Yeah, we got Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. Good scrap. 2 big middleweights. Abus has more tools. Joe Pyfer, he's just more of a fighter, in my opinion, though. Good fight. Good fight. And then we got the middleweight. I call this guy the middleweight Francis Ngannou. He's on the card, too. Atiba Gaudier from Cameroon. He's like the middleweight Francis Ngannou. He's on that card. So, first pay-per-view of October is insane. UFC 320. All right. Then we got Charles Oliveira. He's fighting soon against Rafael Fiziev. I don't know why he's fighting so quick, but we got a fight night in Brazil. UFC fight night in Brazil. Davison Figueiredo's on there. Luque versus Ponzinibbio. Vitor Petrino. So, second fight card of October, UFC Fight Night Brazil. We got Charles de Bronx Oliveira headlining that card. Then, third card into October, the fight we just talked about, the fight that just got announced. Reinier de Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez. Where's the Pirate? One eye. Well, Shara, the Pirate, he just won his last fight, right? He just beat the Canadian. What's his name? He just beat the Canadian, so I'm guessing the Pirate wants to get back in the middleweight rankings. Where should he be? Who should the Pirate fight next to get in the rankings? Well, honestly, there's a lot of good fights for the Pirate. Put him against Marvin Vettori or Paulo Costa. That's what I would do. The Pirate versus Vettori or Paulo Costa. Those would be fun fights. They're going to strike with him. They're going to throw back. But looking at October, yeah, third card in. The big fight that just got announced, Reinier de Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez. Kevin Holland's on that card versus Mike Malott or Mike Mallet. Cheeto's back fighting Ayman Zahabi. All right, all right. Not bad, not bad. Decent fight nights. We got decent fight nights here. Okay? Fourth fight card into October. Finally, we're getting a heavyweight title fight. It's been way too long. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. I mean, fuck Cyril Gane, right? He doesn't deserve a title shot, but we can only hope Aspinall beats the shit out of him. Cheeto is fighting Ariel Helwani. Yes, Ayman Zahabi looks like Ariel Helwani. That's funny. But Tom Aspinall, this is the second pay-per-view of October. Aspinall versus Gane, 321. Or UFC 321. Let's go over this fight card. Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Hey, it's a heavyweight title fight with Tom Aspinall as the champion. And I would love to see him punch Gane in the face, so I'll take it. Volkov versus Almeida. That's a #1 contender fight at heavyweight. I like it. Volkov, he's better than Cyril Gane, and Almeida, he's in the win column. He deserves a title shot if he wins. He's one of the only top guys at heavyweight that has not fought Tom Aspinall, okay? I like it. This is a pay-per-view, by the way. Then we got a light heavyweight fight, all right? We got Alexander Rakic versus Mirzakhanov. Mirzakhanov's coming off a brutal first-round KO. Actually, he's on a 3-fight win streak. Sorry, a 5-fight win streak. Mirzakhanov, he's almost like the dark horse. Not a lot of people are talking about him. But he's fighting Alexander Rakic. If he wins, which he should, people should be talking about him. They're still building the card, though, because, you know, this is late October. This is like the Halloween card. This will be Halloween weekend, right? Or it'll be the weekend before Halloween, so they're still building the card. 3 decent fights right now in there. 2 more banger fights, and that's a good card, really. Still needs some work, though. But point is, we got a heavyweight title fight headlining. A good heavyweight fight on the card as well. Good light heavyweight fight. But Tom Aspinall's back. UFC 320. It's still got some work to do, though. I would like to see him add... Let's see here. We got the heavy guys on the card. I like that. We got the heavy guys. So they just need to spice it up a little bit. Add some more divisions. Probably need some good welterweight fights on that card. And that's October as of right now. Look at this. October's great. Damn. We got some banger fights coming up in October. This is crazy. This is crazy. Now, the one I'm really looking forward to, it's got to be UFC 320. That's the card. That's really a banger card. But I'm curious how they're going to do Aspinall versus Gane if they're going to stack that. Because that's in Abu Dhabi, right? I believe that's in Abu Dhabi. So, you know they're going to stack that. So, they're going to add a lot more bigger fights on that card, too. But I'm impressed with the fight nights. They're going to have some good fight nights. I'm really liking it. Shit, in September, there's stuff going on, too. But it's not like October. That's easy. Aspinall wins. Yes, I hope Aspinall knocks his ass out. Bad. 420 on 320. Yeah. He's going to smoke him like 420 on UFC 320. That's the best way to put it. He's going to smoke him. But we got some big fights to end the year. Seriously. So, but we got to talk about, let's go back a card to UFC 319. We got to talk about the past real quick. Even though it just happened. Because there's some potential title fights now after this card. Obviously, we got to talk about the big wins on the main card. That's all that matters here right now. So we already know there's a middleweight tournament basically going on. So whoever looks the best is going to fight Hamzat next. I like it. We got to talk about the co-main event, though. When Lerone Murphy knocked out Aaron Pico with the spinning back elbow. Woo! Lerone Murphy's undefeated. He knocked out the Bellator guy with the hype. Got his timing down like that. His most impressive win so far. All his other wins have been UFC fight decisions. 5-round decisions. Boring 3-round decisions. Even though he beat big names. Barboza, Ige, Emmett. He barely beat them. But he put the nail in the coffin on Aaron Pico. And that was the nail in the coffin. It's looking like Lerone Murphy is going to get the next title fight at featherweight against Volk. I guarantee it's going to be Lerone Murphy versus Alexander Volkanovski. Because everyone's talking about Murphy now. He delivered on the big card, spinning elbow. Knocked out Aaron Pico. Crazy knockout. We got to get this division moving. Volk needs a fight. Unfortunately, Mazarevlov, he's been pulling out of fights apparently. He should have got the title fight already. But since there's a holdup, someone needs to fight Volk, and Lerone Murphy's undefeated. So the sooner we can get Volk a fight, the better. So why not book Lerone Murphy versus Volkanovski? Volkanovski can add an undefeated name to his resume. Or Lerone Murphy can continue this momentum and look impressive against Volk. I mean, he's undefeated, so I think Volk versus Masvidal is a little more interesting, but it's about what have you done for me lately, it seems like. So, Lerone Murphy, spinning elbow KO. Woo! He's the talk of the town right now at featherweight. Because I'm looking at the featherweight rankings. Yes, that was crazy. Yeah, damn right, that was crazy. I'm looking at the featherweight rankings. I wish they gave Masvidal the title shot like months ago. Or like by now already. That fight should have been made, but damn. What's the holdup? I don't know. Let's give it to Lerone Murphy. So that means Mazarevlov will have to take another fight. I'm okay with it being Lerone Murphy because he deserves it more than Yair Rodriguez. So I'd rather see Volk versus Murphy rather than Volk versus Rodriguez, the rematch. We already seen that shit. I guess they're going to have to do Evloev versus Yair then. That's going to suck for Yair Rodriguez if they make Mazarevlov versus Yair Rodriguez. And I don't care. Make that fight. Evloev versus Rodriguez. We'll do Murphy versus Volk. I got to say, I didn't see this coming, though. I really thought the next title shot would have been Masvidal. But the game changes quick, all right? You got to be active, and you got to get spinning, back elbow, highlight, walk-off knockouts. So, yeah. Let's get the fights going. Let's get the fights going. Lopez versus Gene Silva is coming up soon as well. So, now, if I'm Lerone Murphy and they don't book this fight immediately, I'm going to be worried. Because Gene Silva, he's fighting soon. He's fighting Diego Lopez soon. And if Gene Silva knocks out Diego Lopez, they're probably going to give Gene Silva the next title shot. So the featherweight title shot is up for grabs unless they give Lerone Murphy that title shot like within this next week. Because Diego Lopez is fighting Gene Silva. And there's a good chance in the next 2 weeks or whenever that fight is, Gene Silva is going to get a KO win. And he's going to be asking for a title shot against Volk. So, Lerone Murphy, he's the talk of the town as far as UFC 319 goes. But there's another talk of the town who had the first knockoff, walk-off, spinning back elbow KO, and that's Carlos Prates. Now, that was an actual walk-off KO. That one was even slicker than Lerone Murphy's. Who should Prates fight? Open this thing up. It's nice out. Who should Prates fight? He just got a highlight KO at welterweight, walk-off, knockout of the year. Not just knockout of the night. Knockout of the year. Prates is so damn good. He's back in the win column. Might be my favorite welterweight right now. He is my favorite welterweight right now. And he needs to fight Leon Edwards next. Give him a fun scrap. He deserves it. He had to fight boring Ian Gary. I don't want to see him versus Buckley because I like them both. I don't want any of those guys to lose just yet. How about Prates versus Edwards or Shavkat? That's it. Carlos Prates, right? Put him against Shavkat or Leon Edwards. Why not? I don't want to see him against MVP. MVP might run away, dance. Stay at middleweight, MVP. Stay at middleweight. We'll get to that in a second. I mean, the most fun fight for Prates would be Leon Edwards. That way we could finally get Leon Edwards out of the rankings. Get Prates a nice highlight win against a legit guy. If not, whatever. There's Shavkat. Shavkat could try to make it boring and hold Prates. But I think the funnest fight would be Buckley, honestly, man. That would be a fun fight. But on the other hand, Prates wants a rematch against Ian Gary. I just don't see that happening. They could do Prates versus Michael Morales. There's so many good fights for Prates, alright? As long as he fights someone higher than him in the rankings and someone who's not named MVP, because MVP needs to stay at middleweight, alright? Give Prates a fight. Give him even Bilal. Shit. Have him knock out Bilal. I mean, I think they should give him Leon Edwards. Honestly. Because this guy's a star. Future star. Give him a fun matchup. Why not? Why not? Leon Edwards seems like he's hogging a spot in the rankings. He's the one guy that stands out. He's the only guy in the top 5 where I'm like, there's no way he's getting this belt back. There's no way this guy will even hold a candle to anybody in a title fight anymore. Right? So, yeah. Let's do Carlos Prates versus Leon Edwards. Let's let Carlos Prates knock him out. That sounds like fun to me. I'm in. Prates versus Edwards. Maybe we'll get another spinning back elbow. And then, you know, we could start talking title eliminators for Prates. Right? We need welterweight to get going again. We need it to get going. Because middleweight's flowing better than welterweight. So, let's talk about middleweight. MVP versus Jared Cannonier, alright? Who should MVP fight next? Let's assume he's staying at middleweight. UFC, make this guy stay at middleweight. What matchups do we got for him here? I'm looking at Robert Whittaker. That immediately catches my eye. Robert Whittaker versus MVP. Whittaker's got a good blitz. MVP does that in a different type of fashion, but they both fight hands low, wide stance, and springy. So, I like that fight. I do. I think Whittaker needs an exciting fight like that. He just lost to RDR. Who else is Whittaker going to give a chance to? He already beat Costa and Cannonier. No one else, no one's name is jumping at me on the screen. Yeah, MVP versus Whittaker. MVP versus DeRitter would have been good, but that happened already. Sean Strickland versus MVP would make sense. Because, I mean, who should Sean Strickland fight, honestly? Honestly. So yeah, I would say MVP should fight Robert Whittaker. Why not? Did it say Michael Venom MVP went down in the middleweight rankings? Why? He got to win. Why'd he go down in the middleweight rankings? I don't know. Weird. So what makes most sense is MVP versus Whitaker or Strickland. Now, between those two fights, I think we'll get a more exciting fight against Whitaker, because Strickland's all defense. But it would be interesting to see the style clash between Strickland and MVP. So, yeah, it's got to be... Or, let's say Whitaker and Strickland are booked to fight each other, right? They never fought. Let's have another option for MVP. Someone else to fight. Izzy. He would have to fight Izzy. We got to take... I know someone said they're friends, or MVP said they're cool. We got to take that with a grain of salt. Just because you bumped elbows with somebody in the hallways does not mean you guys are best friends, alright? Who cares? This is the fight game. And I'm sure the UFC would pay him good for that fight. Israel Adesanya versus MVP. Now that's the fight. That should be the first option on the table. Izzy versus MVP. That sounds fun to me. Styles make fights. And that would be a good fight. Same with Whitaker. So I'm going Whitaker is the most, you know, that's the most attainable. That's the most realistic. Whitaker would agree. Izzy might be like, oh, we're friends or some shit. I need $2 billion. So I would call up Whitaker to fight MVP. I would definitely talk Izzy into fighting MVP as much as I can. And then there's always Strickland, who's kind of hogging a spot in the rankings because everyone else is all booked except Izzy and Strickland. So MVP needs one of those guys. And I would go MVP versus Izzy and Strickland versus Whitaker. Those fights never happened. Point is, let's not give like anyone like who has... Let's not give anyone who's never had a title shot opportunity to Michael Venom Page. MVP needs to fight guys who've already been there and done that. I don't want to see him ruin some fighters' win streak, okay? So MVP needs to fight, you know, one of those guys who've been there and done that. And hopefully someone exciting. But yeah, middleweight division is looking up. October's moving. We got a lot of fights. The UFC's pushing out these fights. End of the year, they're trying to end it with a bang. Crazy fight nights coming up. A lot of title shot contenders in all the divisions. Except, you know, the smaller divisions. Bantamweight, flyweight. We're going to need a super fight pretty soon. What else is going on? The heavyweight division's finally rolling a little bit. At least we got a title shot. So yeah, we got to push these fights out end of the year. Before I wrap up, let me hear your guys' thoughts. Let me hear your guys' thoughts. Like we said, big fight announcement Dana just dropped. Rainer de Ritter's fighting. Alright? That's a huge fight announcement. Rainer de Ritter versus Fluffy Hernandez. 5 round. So we got 2 huge middleweight fights. Huge implications. I'm going Prates. Yeah, Prates, he needs a big fight next. I'm tuning in for his fight. And I'm rooting for him. I'm voting for him in whatever fight he's in. Only exciting fights for Prates. Give him Leon Edwards. You got to give him Leon Edwards, all right? Ortega versus Sterling. Walker versus Minyang. I'll be dropping my predictions tomorrow on that, so stay tuned for that. What else we got? What else we got? Lerone Murphy's probably going to be getting the next title shot against Volk. And what else is going on here? Yeah. A lot of stuff going on. I'm going with those predictions in GG1. Yep. I'm about to roll one up, honestly, so last second chats. I'll read the last minute chats before I head out. I'm probably getting off the stream in about 2 minutes. But yeah, I'm going with those predictions too. I'll be dropping my official predictions tomorrow on the whole card of UFC Shanghai. Good stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, who do you guys got this weekend? Brian Ortega or Aljamain Sterling? There's some close fights this weekend. Close fights. Who do we got? Ortega. I think it's going to be close. I could see why people would pick Sterling, but I got Ortega too. I'm going Brian Ortega this weekend. You know? And, yeah. I'm going to bring my laptop with me wherever I go. And if I do wake up at 7 a.m., I will stream that fight card. If I'm up at 7 a.m., I will stream that fight card. You know, I'll bring my laptop with me wherever I'll be. And I'll be streaming, you know? Anything else I'm missing on the UFC news? Dana White's fight announcements. We covered it. Next title shot at middleweight and featherweight. We covered it. The October big fight cards. We covered it. UFC China Shanghai predictions. I'm dropping those tomorrow. You know? Yeah, casino hours. I like streaming during these casino hours. And yeah, the fights will be taking place during casino hours, you know? People win at the weird early times at the casinos. They're probably going to play the fights at the casino. It's a fight night. They'll be playing it at your nearest sports bar. They'll be playing it at the big bars, that's for sure. Any betting bar, any sports bar, they're going to play this fight. You just got to wake up at 7 a.m. because it's in China. It's in China. That's how they do it. All right, all right. Looks like I'll be heading off the stream to roll up. I think it's time to roll. Literally, time to roll up. Time to roll just like jiu-jitsu. Any final predictions? Yeah, the fight will be going on at 7 a.m. coffee time, so make sure you get your coffee going for that card because it's going to start early. But I kind of like that because, hey, if the card starts at 7 a.m., it's going to be over at lunchtime. Then you have your whole day. Then you have your whole night to do what you got to do. Go to the bar, go to the casino. Whatever you got to do, you got the whole day after the fights because the fights are so early. But yeah, I'm rolling out and I'm rolling up. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.